I spent years talking about God's love in heaven, but I woke up in a place where screams cut through your soul. The heat burned my skin. The air smelled like rotten eggs and despair. Voices I knew called my name while dark shapes mocked everything I believed. I always preached about paradise, but nobody told me what I would hear in that terrible place. Today I must share what I saw before time runs out. My name is Maria Santos, and I served as a church minister for 15 years. Since I was young, people knew me for speaking about turning from sin and finding God. My strong voice filled churches, and many said they could feel God's power just by hearing me speak. That evening the church was full. Men wore their best clothes, women had bright scarves, and young people sat with tears in their eyes. They crowded onto wooden benches, hoping for words that might change their lives. Under the bright lights, every move I made looked bigger, and my voice through the speaker filled every corner. It was amazing to see how people watched me with respect. Sister Anna, who always sat in front, cried with her hands up while Deacon Carlos fixed the sound. Everyone thought I had a special connection with God. But deep inside I carried a secret nobody could guess. All that strength had become fake. Every sermon felt like acting. Every powerful phrase came out without thinking. I preached about changing your heart but kept my pride. I spoke about being pure but quietly judged others. With every clap from the crowd, I felt self-love that I never told anyone about. When I finished speaking, the church burst into applause. People cried and stood up. Some ran to the front asking for prayer. Sister Rosa hugged me with tears. "You spoke straight from God today," she said. I smiled and took pictures with families. Their faces glowed with hope. But as I greeted each person, an uncomfortable feeling grew inside me. Something told me the power of my words didn't match the true condition of my heart. In that moment, surrounded by applause, a quiet question echoed in my mind: whose glory are you really looking for? That night seemed to drain every bit of energy from my body. I went home to my apartment, dropped my bag and sat on the bed. The words I had spoken with confidence now seemed like rehearsed lines, repeated so often they had lost meaning. The clock showed just after midnight. My breathing became heavy. My chest felt pressed down. I tried to dismiss it, but a sharp pain shot through my back. My fingers grew cold as if blood were leaving my body. The darkness in the room felt thick. There were shadows that seemed to move. Then I heard slow footsteps in the hallway. I was alone. My breathing quickened and my body tensed. A faint whisper close to my ear made all air vanish from my lungs. "Maria." The voice was soft, almost loving, but mixed with something inhuman. My vision blurred. The last sound before total darkness was the violent slam of the window. I woke up in darkness so thick it felt heavy. The air carried a choking smell of burning sulfur and rot. My heart raced. I reached out searching for my bed, but the surface beneath my feet was cold and rough. This wasn't my apartment. Whispers came from all directions like voices begging and shouting words I couldn't understand. I took a step but couldn't feel the ground clearly. My feet seemed to float above an invisible surface. I raised my hand to see it but saw nothing. My presence seemed to vanish in that darkness. I whispered, "Where am I?" The words echoed as if I had shouted. The whispers stopped, and that silence was even more frightening. Suddenly I felt something pass behind me, draining all warmth. For the first time I felt fear not just of death but of what might exist after it. A red glow cut through the darkness like a blade. For the first time I could see where I was. The scene was vast with shadows moving like living smoke. Human figures appeared and vanished in red mist. Their faces were twisted in pain I couldn't describe. Some knelt, others dragged heavy chains. My bare feet stood on an uneven, burning surface. The ground pulsed like it was alive. The heat was choking worse than any summer. It felt like the air itself was on fire. Yet cold gripped my body as if my soul were frozen in fear. A scream echoed out of nowhere so sharp it made my bones vibrate. I turned toward the sound and saw a tall, twisted shadow moving too fast to be human. My heart raced with the certainty that it saw me and wanted me closer. Something touched my arm. It was dry, cold, and rough like bones wrapped in dried skin. The skeleton hand gripped with impossible strength. I tried to pull free but couldn't. I looked down and saw yellowed bones, long nails, and dark energy that seemed to burn skin. The red glow pulsed like a beacon. Dozens of eyes appeared around me. Dull, sunken eyes like black holes. Voices overlapped. Some begged for help. Others laughed. Others shouted senseless words. It was chaos in my mind. My legs gave out and the skeleton hand yanked me forward. Before my vision faded, I saw a face close to mine, human but completely disfigured by eternal suffering. I fell to my knees on the pulsing ground. A deep laugh echoed from all directions. I looked up and saw a tall creature with skin like burned leather, curved horns, and eyes that burned like coals. It stared at me with twisted pleasure. "Maria Santos," it said, pronouncing my full name clearly. Its voice sounded like metal scraping stone. It began listing details of my life no one else knew. Words I spoke alone. Sins I hid. Thoughts I never confessed. Each sentence pierced like a blade. "You preached salvation," it said, bringing its deformed face closer. "But you never truly changed your heart." Those words cut deep. All my sermons, packed services, and public prayers lost meaning. The weight of hypocrisy fell on my shoulders like iron chains. I looked around and everything screamed condemnation. The heat got so intense my skin began to burn, but deep cold gripped my chest. It wasn't just fear. It was painful recognition. I was in hell. I tried to pray. I opened my mouth but no sound came out. Words that once flowed smoothly were stuck in my throat. It was as if an invisible hand had cut any connection to God. Despair took over. The feeling of being completely alone, separated from everything good, was more frightening than any creature before me. A crack echoed, and before me appeared a screen made of fire. At first I saw only a twisted reflection, but soon the image cleared. My heart raced. It was me. I saw myself preaching with authority while crowds clapped. But the eyes in that image were empty. The screen showed moments I thought forgotten. Whispers of judgment during prayers, secret laughs at simple people, conversations where I criticized those who trusted me. With each new image I felt unbearable weight in my chest. I saw myself smiling at people after services, hugging them with apparent warmth. But the screen revealed coldness. Prayers offered for status, not compassion. Memorized words that seemed inspired but came from a hardened heart. A deep roar cut through everything, making my body tremble. The sound was like thunder exploding at once. The creatures that had been mocking me now pulled back in panic, throwing themselves to the ground in worship to something invisible. The ground pulsed like a giant heart. Air began to disappear as if invisible hands squeezed my lungs. Heat rose from the ground, burning my knees, but supernatural cold ran down my spine. Even the shadows trembled at what was coming. A presence filled everything. Not an ordinary creature, but something greater, an authority so overwhelming it made my body give way. My legs failed and I fell face first onto the burning ground, unable to lift my head. Then a voice spoke. It wasn't just sound but a force that pierced flesh and spirit. Each word carried the weight of eternal judgment, vibrating like a sword cutting through everything. The question came like a spiritual earthquake. "Why should I let you leave this place?" My heart raced, hands trembled, and I felt my life hanging by a thread. I had no words to respond, only terrible awareness that I had nothing to present as defense. I was before true justice without masks, excuses, or time for repentance. My entire body trembled. Tears streaming down my face burned like liquid fire. I closed my eyes, trying to find something within me, a memory, a forgotten prayer, anything to break that choking silence. An old memory surfaced. A scene from childhood in a simple church. I remembered an elderly woman with gray hair, Sister Esperanza, who always repeated with a trembling voice, "Lord, have mercy on me." I held on to that hope with all my strength. I whispered with a faltering voice, "Lord, have mercy on me." The pit responded with complete silence, as if all of hell were watching me. At that moment I felt something different, a presence that didn't bring fear but peace. A gentle breeze touched my neck. A hand touched my shoulder, firm but gentle, completely different from any touch in that place. It was as if there were light there, even in darkness. I woke with a jolt. Doctors gave quick instructions. Machines beeped rapidly. Family members cried around me. My vision was blurry, but I recognized the white hospital ceiling. My mother gripped my hand tightly. "She's back. She's back," someone shouted. They explained I had been clinically dead for a few minutes. While doctors celebrated the miracle, my mind was still in that pit. The smell of sulfur seemed stuck to my skin. Instead of relief, a burning sense of mission consumed me. What I experienced wasn't just a vision. It was a calling, an urgency to warn others before it was too late. I asked to be alone. I took my phone, turned on the camera, and spoke. "I saw, I heard, and I won't rest until I warn the world that hell is real." Since then, the smell of sulfur has never completely gone away. Life hasn't returned to normal. And it never will. What I saw wasn't just an experience. It was a warning for each of us.